Stuck a couple bitcoins. Pull up on my Nakamoto.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Blockchain Dynamics Show.
Yep, good evening. Welcome.
It is Saturday, November 12th.
Episode number 37 tonight.
Episode 37. Holy smokes.
And as usual, the show is brought to you by Cryptopia.co.nz. Great all-around altcoin website.
Yeah, not just an exchange. They do have an exchange, of course, but they also have a bunch of other features, including block explorers, coin comparisons across different exchanges, and, of course, the forums.
Mining pools.
Mining pools, yeah.
Which we aren't sure if they got those up or not this week. They had some new ones coming up either this week or next week, I guess, and that'll allow people to do single port switching on different coins, basically.
Yeah, so it's called the Mineshaft. You can see it on the page there. And what it eventually is going to do is allow you to basically mine any coin that Cryptopia has that is proof of work mineable. And then you'll be able to set what coin you're mining just from your profile and leave your miner pointed to a single port. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like Brandon said, they have a forum over there. So if you go to the altcoin section on that forum and check out the Blockchain Dynamics show thread, leave us a message. We'll hook you up with some dots, which is Cryptopia's native currency.
Yeah, gotta get those dots. Really just come say hi. If you got some suggestions for the show, any coins you want us to check out,
or if you know of any coin birthdays coming up.
Yep, we did have one comment this week. Shout out to Rommel there.
Yeah, thanks for leaving a message.
He asked us to look at XSC, Lisk, and Waves. We're going to take a look at Lisk this week, and we'll try to get to the other coins in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. And also, we never really mentioned blockchaindynamics.net very much, but we updated it a little bit today so that it might be a little bit more useful as far as finding the latest episode and the different locations that our archives are stored.
Yeah, that website, of course, www.blockchaindynamics.net. And yeah, now the latest episode, it's like right up front. So if you're ever wondering, hey, what's the most recent Blockchain Dynamics episode? You want that fresh content. Just head to the website, and it's going to be right there waiting for you.
All right. And if you want to be yelled at from a computer every time that we post a new show, you can follow us at Chain Dynamics on Twitter as well.
Yep. Yeah, do that, please.
With that said, we're going to roll straight into some second looks, which is just a section of the show where we take a look at coins a little closer than we do on the first week, because oftentimes we aren't that interested the first week.
Yeah, a lot can happen between when a coin is announced and when it gets exchanged or when its crowd sale finishes or whatever. And so that's why we have the second look.
And the first one, I think this is something that somebody suggested it to us at some point.
Yeah, it is. So this is just catching up on our recommendations from the Cryptopia thread.
And so thanks for that. The coin is ARK, A-R-K. And we did cover this when it was a new post on Bitcoin Talk. But it was quite a different post at that point in time. Right, Brandon?
Yeah, so the first time we had this coin was episode number 24. So that's like... got to be, 3 months ago now? And when it came out then, they were just announcing it essentially as a crypto coin database platform. So it would be a service that you could use to access information about basically every blockchain that is out there. And they were calling that ARK. And then I think that was a no ICO at that point.
I feel like that was a different one, though, don't you?
You think it might have been a totally different coin?
Yeah, that first ARK coin.
That's a good question. I kind of had assumed that it was just kind of their first stab at an idea for their project, but that's a good question now.
But I do think that the second ARK coin that we covered on episode 33 is this ARK coin.
Definitely is. That's the same post still.
Yeah.
But even then, when they announced the one that we're talking about from episode 33, the original post was very sparse on details. you could tell that there was some kind of money and some energy being put into it. But as far as what the platform was going to be about, the only thing that they were telling us was like the usual crypto stuff, like, this is going to be a worldwide payment platform.
Yeah, it's going to be secure.
With secure, fast
and fast,
transactions.
yeah, right.
So just the Bitcoin futures, basically, is what they were selling at first.
Right. But then here we are at our second look, and they've decked out this announcement with all the graphics and turned it into a full-on smart contract platform, apparently.
Yeah, basically they blew it up into just a kind of big money, big hype, nice looking IPO, big project, I guess.
They've already raised a pretty good chunk of money at 1,500 Bitcoins.
And so what's interesting about that number there, only 100 of that is in Bitcoin.
Yeah, they're mostly collecting Lisk.
Yeah, the main denominated currency of this is Lisk, and they're heavily incentivizing people to use Lisk to buy into the ICO. So it's interesting.
Yeah, especially considering Lisk was kind of designed to do a lot of the same things that ARK is going to do, right?
Yeah, if you go to the page, they even have a list of comparisons of kind of some of the things that ARK does that Lisk doesn't. And you kind of have to wonder, I mean, this decision to structure the IPO so that it incentivizes people to buy Lisk is obviously a move to prop up Lisk in some way.
It could be.
They claim, of course, just to be associated with the community and all that. But, I mean, that's the effect of that move is going to be to prop up the price of Lisk so that people can get in on the incentives for ARK.
And a fairly lengthy ICO going on for 5 weeks, it looks like, with the declining bonus structure.
Yep, the usual, the big bonuses for the early adopters, which are still going on.
By far the oddest part of this ICO is the... I don't know the word for it. Basically, prizes you can get for buying certain amounts of Lisk in the presale, which starts with these rings that they're giving people.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
Never seen that before.
It's kind of like Kickstarter in that way. Like you have tiered rewards for people.
Yeah.
So that's all pretty interesting.
So yeah.
As far as what the chain itself is all about, it's a Node.js smart contract platform, so that is similar to Lisk in that regard. But what they're selling it on is this smart bridges idea, which are supposed to allow it to interact with any other smart contract platform.
Oh, okay. That is an interesting idea.
Reminds me of BlockNet and SuperNet, to be honest with you. They're trying to sell a new chain based on its connectivity to previously established chains.
Okay.
And then you combine that with the way that they're funneling Lisk into the ICO and kind of some of the other general questions with ICOs. And you start to wonder, is this just somebody with a lot of Lisk trying to capitalize on a huge stack of coins that maybe they can't sell? Or is there just a real project here?
Yeah, definitely a little bit different than when we first looked at it,
Yeah, exactly. Why was why did it change so much from announcement to announcement? Is that even the case? Just a lot of questions, and you always have to ask these kind of questions when you look at ICOs. I don't know these developers. I don't want to say anything that isn't true by any means. And it's probable that it'd be fun to maybe try and have these guys on the show so they could kind of make their case, because it's already raised at least $1 million, and obviously generating a lot of hype with huge signature campaigns, huge bounty campaigns, all that stuff.
Right. And they did have an extensive white paper.
Yep. Yeah, I mean they've put the effort into this. No question about that.
Definitely. So I don't know. We've seen a few of these types of projects recently that kind of accept one of the other platforms' coins, right?
Yep.
And I guess time will tell if those are going to be successful or not, or if one or two of them will, or any at all.
Yeah, in terms of just like an up or down bet, I would guess that you'll probably will get a return on your investment in this. But then there's the problem of the fact that whatever you invest is going to be tied up until I think at least February is when they're distributing the coins.
Oh wow, that's quite a while.
So your funds are going to be tied up for that time, and you won't, like, if you buy a coin, you always have the chance to sell and get back out and kind of go about your life. If things start to look like they're going south with ARK, you won't really have that chance. But that's just, the risk-reward structure on IPO investing is different.
Well, yeah. If this one makes it to market, I agree, you're probably going to be able to at least break even immediately, if not sell for a profit. But there's always other things that could happen along the way, even to that, when we're talking about a 5-week ICO.
And yeah, if you're looking for the next Lisk, the next waves, this is probably the closest thing to it that I've seen in a long time.
Makes sense. That's pretty much all what there's to say about ARK at the moment. Thanks for suggesting that.
Yep, and we'll keep an eye.
Yep. We're going to take another second look now at a DIEM coin.
DIEM, this is a fun one that kind of got onto our radar this week.
Yeah, and one of the main reasons that we thought it was on the radar is that it is the least expensive coin on Poloniex.
Yep. If you sort your Poloniex coin listings by lowest price, DIEM is going to be right there on top by a pretty good margin.
Yeah, bouncing between 1 and 2 Satoshi.
And so one of the reasons this coin is funny for us is it's that age-old question of once a coin drops below 1 Satoshi, do they ever really come back?
And in the case of DIEM, I mean, obviously going to 2 Satoshi is going to double your market cap from 1 Satoshi. It really is quite a significant amount when you're talking about a coin like DIEM.
Yeah, this thing's got 200 or I think 210 billion coins or something like that.
And yet here we see somebody willing to buy, the market's willing to buy like 97 Bitcoins worth of DIEM at 1 Satoshi.
Yeah, what's the other wall there? What's on the other side?
At 2 is 24 Bitcoins, and then by the time you get to 3, you're talking another 125 Bitcoins worth.
Yep, so kind of in its own weird little way, that's an entire market there of people trying to buy at 1 Satoshi and then probably trying to flip those same coins at 2.
Also, the real question I asked myself and I asked Brandon is what would happen first? Do you think DIEM drops below 1 Satoshi or it goes to 10?
I mean, just based on the way the markets are going overall, I think it's definitely more likely to drop below 1.
We also noticed that it was being traded on the XMR market on Poloniex. So there's an XMR DIEM market. And I said to myself, I wonder, is there an arbitrage opportunity there? Probably not. Of course, these markets are fairly efficient. And there wasn't. But it also turned out that you would actually be paying more for DIEM on the XMR market than 2 Satoshis.
Yeah, and that's just kind of what you can expect from those lower liquidity market. Usually lower liquidity means bigger spread, so you're going to pay more to buy it, and you're going to get less to sell it.
Although now when the price is a little lower on that XMR market now than when we made that calculation earlier, interestingly.
So actually, I said it was 210 billion supply. It's 21 billion supply, so still huge. It's funny, if you have 21 billion supply, that means every Satoshi of price adds 210 Bitcoins to your market cap.
Right.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And so I think that's the thing where how can somebody really plow through that much coins? What would create that demand? But we do see that it managed to go up in price right when Poloniex started going nuts earlier in the year.
Yeah, so this was launched as a swap coin from the original DIEM was like a short proof of work, really fast descending rewards, kind of like get on exchange and dump type coin. This was a relaunch of that and a swap, so people swapped from that chain to this one. It then got on Poloniex and CoinMarketCap and everything else. And of course it's been there ever since. It was sub 1 Satoshi for ages, so just a huge sell wall at 1 Satoshi. And then it was like that for looks like almost a year, maybe more than a year. And then, like you said, once all these other pumps started to hit on Poloniex, all of a sudden DIEM went from sub 1 to looks like a peak of about 7 or 8. Settled in around the 2 to 3 range for a while before getting down to the 1-2 range that it's at now.
Pretty unique.
So, one of those rare cases where a coin actually does break out of the 1 Satoshi range. But at this point, the question is, how long can it stay there?
Yeah. And I definitely, just from a personal trading perspective, wouldn't really want to buy it at 2 Satoshis.
No.
then
no.
you're talking about trying to sell it at least 3, which it hasn't. It's
No, but you could get on the low liquidity market like the XMR market that the spread's really big on both sides.
right.
So you drop maybe a bit at the equivalent of 1.25 Satoshis.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're patient, you're going to get hit. The volumes are going to be pretty low, probably won't even be worth your time, but you could then put those for sale at 2 on the Satoshi market. And
Well, I guess I was somewhat surprised to find that DIEM was only traded on these 2 markets as well.
yeah, that is surprising.
I would have thought for a coin that on Poloniex and at some points in times gets the type of volume that it gets, that it would have been listed elsewhere with more base markets,
Yeah, I would like to see it on any of the exchanges that do Litecoin pairs.
So that's going to be kind of our second look at DIEM.
Yep, no development going on there as far as I could tell. But
Right, yeah. It did not seem like their website was definitely down, and we had to
scrounge
for a block explorer. Although I found it in their thread, there's still people posting there. But,
True.
all of the information has kind of been pushed to the back of the thread type of situation,
Yeah.
not being really kept up to date. The next segment today is going to be some news and stuff.
News.
News.
We love that news.
Stratis trading halted. That's the headline.
That is the headline. So Bittrex abruptly halted Stratis trading this week. And we found a nice little statement from the developers here as to why.
They say that we had requested Bittrex to halt trading as we noticed a bug in our interim wallet. We are currently testing a fix and hope to have it implemented within 8 hours from now. I don't know when this was posted, but an explanation will be provided once it's complete, and they're thanking everyone's patience.
As of when I had compiled this, they said that the fix was ready to go, but they didn't quite have the release out yet. I think they were still testing it or something. So an interesting development here in the Stratis universe.
Yep.
Stratis, of course, way up in price, along with Waves. Both big smart contract. Waves isn't really smart contracts, but both big IPOs spiking on Bittrex this week.
Yeah, both doing well on the market-wise. And then, of course, this abrupt halt to the trading. Maybe a little bit scary at first, but since they're doing it for the purpose of network security, indicating that nothing was... no damage was done, perhaps. That's sort of comforting also to know that somebody's at least testing something out there, but not always great. Not a great sign when trading has to be halted, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they found the issue before it was able to be exploited. It looks like they're being quiet about it because they don't want anybody to take advantage of whatever the issue was until the fix is in place.
Right.
And so it definitely seems like it's good that they caught it first. But it is a reminder that these new blockchains, especially ones that are getting to be substantially different from, the Bitcoin, Litecoin forks that we used to see, it's just clear that you have to think about the security of these things in a whole new way. And the risk profiles are going to be potentially a lot higher.
Yeah. Sort of, I mean, the risk of Bitcoin when it was younger was higher as well, right?
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
It's already gone through so many different traumas.
Yep.
That might be just par for the course for this type of technology, but I guess we'll see.
In this case, it looks like they caught it in time, and we'll just hope that, in the future that remains to be the case as well.
In other news, 25% of Bitcoin nodes support segregated witness.
So we're just, I guess, kind of seeing the momentum build towards segregated witness as it's not necessarily just supposed to be a solution for the block size issue, but kind of a more general purpose solution for scalability, I think, in general.
An interesting comparison would be to Bitcoin Unlimited nodes, which we talked about last week. That's about 6.8% of Bitcoin nodes are running that.
What was that website you were using to tell you?
xtnodes.com. It lets you see different percentages of various Bitcoin clients and kind of how the hashing has been going and which blocks are being solved by which clients.
So yeah, you go to xtnode.com, you see that Bitcoin Core is still by far the main source of blocks, the main type of node. And that, so does segregated witness fall under Bitcoin Core then? I'm not sure how that works.
That, I guess, is my impression, although it's not explicitly stated here.
Because none of these alternatives, not XT or Unlimited or Classic, they're all
Well, none of those support segregated witness, from what I know.
And they're all in the sub 10% range as far as adoption is concerned.
Right.
So
so I think that what the statistic is that 25% of that 85% supports segregated witness.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Unless it's out of the total. We can't really say for sure.
Yeah, some of the technicalities of these Bitcoin kind of different clients aren't clear to me. Like, do they all run on the same chain until a consensus is reached?
Well, they're all able to process Bitcoin blocks, so I think in that regard they're all on the same chain.
Okay.
Some of them have, things that could occur, like unlimited, when they reach certain thresholds. But obviously it's far below that.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess what's going to remain to be seen is how well segregated witness delivers on the improvements that it's been kind of hyped up for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it works well for people and they have some of their concerns addressed, then I imagine that's going to be a really positive effect on Bitcoin. Otherwise, maybe people will look for alternatives.
So, yep, that is what's going on in Bitcoin news.
Over in the markets, Bitcoin is volatile.
Really,
as usual right now.
Really volatile this week. As you know, we've been keeping up with kind of the effect of the Bitcoin volatility on the altcoin markets over the last few weeks. It was about 3 weeks ago that Bitcoin first spiked up over 700 again. Of course, it spiked up to about 745 during the election, and now has dropped back down. And it actually, when we calculated these numbers, Bitcoin was still up about 0.5% for the week.
Yep.
But
as of the show, it's even lower.
Yeah, but it's now down probably about 2%. But as far as when we ran the numbers earlier, Ethereum was down about 10%.
Yep.
So a big decline there once again.
Yep. And the market caps are down 90 million USD.
Yep, that's for altcoin total. What we're doing is looking at the top 100 altcoin market caps, basically. Actually, the top 97. And just kind of seeing what the value change that is overall. This week, down $90 million. So pretty big drain, down to the total somewhere a little over $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you include ETH, it's about $2 billion.
Okay, yeah.
As far as if you exclude ETH, most of the altcoins were flat this week. With ETH, altcoin markets were down about 5% overall. Without ETH, they were actually up about 0.5%. And that's looking at the USD market cap.
Yeah, and some bigger winners than others, as usual.
Yeah, as always. It's a mixture of pumps and dumps.
Yeah.
But overall, since Bitcoin spiked 3 weeks ago, we're seeing that the markets haven't really recovered. Altcoin market cap's still down about 5% overall. But it also seems like with the way that Bitcoin is trading, I don't think it's having as much of I don't think it's kind of the major driving factor in altcoin, the prices at least this far out.
Right, and also, once again, pretty much even without ETH in there.
Like, we've seen so much volatility that alts can't, with Bitcoin price, alts can't react to it. It can't be like, oh, Bitcoin's pumping, now alts are dumping again. Bitcoin's dumping and alts are going up. It's been happening so fast that alts kind of are in whiplash. They don't know which way to go, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation.
As far as the individual coin breakdown, on our list of coins here, 61 coins down this week, 36 up. So definitely more coins down than up, even though the market caps held out pretty much flat. The mean decline 2.13% and the median decline 2.75% in the top 100 coins.
So not the worst week.
No, really just kind of a...
And better than the 3 weeks overall.
Yep, definitely better than the overall 3 weeks. And we're just going to see what happens, once the market finds some direction. I think, there's a lot of anxiety out there, and I think there's probably good reason for it. There's really no way to know which way these markets are going to go right now.
Yeah. when Bitcoin goes below 700 like it did today, it's easy to all of a sudden have that gloom and doom feeling again.
Even though
It's
like
over.
8 months ago it would have been like $700. You got to be kidding, no way. And now when it drops below that, that's like when we start to get worried. But that shows you in a way how far we've come and also potentially how much we have to lose.
True.
Kind of funny news, Zcash this week. Last week, Zcash was in the really funny position of being the coin with the largest increase percentage-wise in market cap,
Right.
but the largest decrease percentage-wise in price. And it accomplished that because it was still just at the very beginning of its mining.
Yeah.
So the number of coins went up like 10x.
Yeah, there weren't many coins at that first part.
So even though the price went way down, the market cap went up.
Right.
So the question was, of course, as the mining continues, what's going to happen to Zcash price?
You tell me, man.
What's going to happen to Zcash market cap? This week, the price down 72%, as I'm sure everybody's aware, huge drop.
That's a big old drop.
But the market cap also down 14%.
Uh-huh.
And this means that even with the new coins being added to the system, the price is falling so fast that the overall value of the chain is still dropping. Or actually, it is dropping. It started dropping. Pretty interesting. The reward now for mining is up to 4.5 coins per block. The peak is going to be 12.5, so we're still in that ramp-up phase for the mining.
Wow.
And so I guess we kind of were just kind of off the napkin math predicting like a 0.01 range kind of for Zcash to settle, just based on the difference between the mining rewards and the early price.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like we're definitely on trajectory for that, and we'll see kind of where it ends up in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes lower at this point.
Even into the 100,000s.
I don't
range.
really. I don't want to speculate specific numbers. I just feel like there's almost no way that I don't see how it's going to slow down at this point with all the new coins that are going to be generated, and I'm sure that people are having better and better successes with their hash rate software, with their mining software.
Yeah.
I've seen people posting of the improvements. So in addition to, there being more coins per block, people are mining more blocks with less electricity, is my point.
Well, theoretically, the difficulty adjustments would cause that to flatten out, but...
Maybe, but there might not be that type of interest, really. I think it might just be the same miners, but they're getting more... I don't know. I haven't checked. I remember when Zcash came out, we noted how hard Ethereum's hash rate dropped.
Yep.
It'd be good to follow up on that and see has Ethereum regained that hash rate as maybe people move back away from Zcash.
Yep.
Offhand,
just with my mining and dumping, with my Ethereum miner, my actual returns have stayed fairly flat. They were kind of down for a little bit, and then Zcash launched, and even though the Ethereum price was going down, the decrease in hash rate on the ETH network kind of caused my miner profitability to stay flat. And it's pretty much held that pattern, honestly, for the past few weeks, so I'm curious to see how all the Zcash hash is going to affect the Ethereum mining market.
Agreed.
In the long run.
So, still an interesting one to be watching. Not sure exactly where it can go from here.
Yep. We definitely have not seen the last of Zcash.
No,
that's
not
for
at all.
sure.
We haven't even seen it get to the point of like releasing updates that are interesting or
We've barely seen the first of it.
Yeah.
So yep, there's Zcash.
And then as far as the overall gainers and losers for the week go, on the gainer side, we're looking at CasinoCoin up 177%, Stratis up 65%.
We got Monero plus 46%, and NEM at plus 25%.
That's the new economy movement.
Yep, they had a new announcement this week, so that's probably driving the price there.
As far as losers on the markets, Swisscoin down 50%, StartCoin down 48%, Steem's down 44%, and VaderCorp Coin down 43%.
Interesting list of losers here. Swisscoin is just coming off of a pump. StartCoin has a crazy chart. It's just like spiking and dumping with no regards for reality or liquidity or anything that would normally govern the markets. Steem continues to drop, man. Where's the floor?
I guess someday we'll know.
Someday. I almost felt like we were close last week, but apparently not.
Yeah.
So,
We've still been, as far as our Steem goes, we've still been powering down since as soon as we could almost.
Yeah.
Which is a 2-year process. And so it'll be very interesting to see if we make it to the point where we have powered down for 2 years and what that Steem will be worth at that time.
Yeah, we could be selling. We still have some Steem that we could sell, right?
Yeah,
Based
yeah.
on
I mean, we
powering
get a
down,
little bit basically every Sunday is how it works.
Right.
On a weekly basis, it sends us a tiny bit.
Funny stuff, but yeah. So there's Steem at obviously a lot of downward pressure coming from people like us that are powering down.
Right.
When will it find the bottom? Who knows?
Well, and if you look at it from a strictly financial perspective, as somebody who's creating content or trying to make money off the Steem platform, let's say, seems like not powering down would have been kind of a bad idea because at this point the price has dropped so much.
It seems like with every market, you want to, power down when it's up and, power up when it's down, when the markets have kind of settled down. And we're definitely not there yet with Steem. I still see a future for Steem. And I'm just, I'm so curious to see how the platform is able to retain if it can retain any kind of a user base as it settles into a lower value, and and if it can kind of build up a healthy market again that could potentially turn around.
A lot of the individual top posts that still get amounts of money that I think are really quite phenomenal. It's no longer $10,000 or stupid stuff like that was happening at the beginning. But it's still several $100s for like the top posts, which if you think about it, that nothing like that was going on before Steem.
True.
Steem it.
It's true. A lot of people had promised stuff like that before, and they really were the first to deliver on those kind of payouts for content providers.
And my complaint with the content since the beginning has just been that right off the bat, it started catering to, at first people were kind of poking the bear, finding out what was popular and what would get votes. And once people started latching on to what people with a lot of Steem liked, or maybe it's just what the hive mind of Steem it likes, but all of the posts started going very hard in that direction. I feel like there's not a huge variety of content.
Yeah, there was a really huge bandwagon effect.
And I'm sure that people would point out to me a lot of instances of variety on there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there is. But that's what's been preventing me from really being a user there, is I see a lot of the same stuff on the front page on most days, whether it's a series of something or just similar types of thoughts repeated over and over.
Yeah, the incentives that Steem has, the way it rewards people, it essentially takes the bandwagon effect that you'll normally see on regular social networks where people will, bandwagon onto popular themes and stuff. People do that just for, not even for money, just for credit points or karma or whatever on Reddit. And so Steem kind of just ramps that up a notch now that there's money involved. People are doing everything they can to try and come up with some idea that's going to get a payout. And that just takes that bandwagon effect and kind of ramps it into high gear. And, it's going to be up to the network to cope with that over the long term and see what it can do, because it's also just so much potential still, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not sure any of that's even related to its market performance, quite frankly.
No, markets do what they do, but, I mean, this thing's, it's down, the
Right.
peak is 600,000.
Yeah, if you manage to buy it at almost any point up till today, it kind of sucks.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So, that does it for our market recap.
Yep, that is it for the markets this week. And that also wraps up the news.
So let's check out a couple random coins. This is easy to do. We just roll a random number on random.org and go check it out based on that number in coinmarketcap.com.
Yep. What better way to look at coins free of any bias than to pick a random number?
And, sometimes we know some about it, sometimes we don't. The first coin today is Lisk.
Lisk. So kind of funny that it happened to be requested in the Cryptopia thread this week.
Yeah.
And also rolled in as one of our random coins, but here it is.
Yep, so 2 birds with 1 stone there. Of course, we are aware of Lisk being an ICO.
Yep.
And a rather large one at that.
Lisk was announced like on our first show.
Mm-hmm.
Was when we got to go to the Lisk new post announcement. So
yeah,
that was fun.
February sometime.
Yep. No, I don't think we get. I think we were about as skeptical of it as we are all the other IPOs, but
yeah, most likely. Of course, we probably noticed the effort that had been put into the presentation of the ICO, kind of the same way that we looked at ARC today.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, the theme of Lisk is that it's a platform for decentralized apps.
And it uses JavaScript. That's its niche.
Yep, exactly. A Node.js framework, essentially, for coding DApps, which they say are more functional than smart contracts.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. As far as the blockchain itself, 10-second block time. So once again, another smart contract DApp platform really cranking up the speed on those block times.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, we're always fascinated by whether or not the blockchain can handle it, because certainly when there were more experimental junk coins coming out, you could see people failing to do those types of things. 10-second blocks, there was disasters based on that.
Yep, and obviously, we haven't seen these chains have perfect performance. Ethereum's been coming under attack a lot recently, obviously. But they're pulling it off. They're kind of showing that you can crank up the speed on the chain and still have a functional chain. Yeah.
And I thought this note you put interesting, Brandon, that proof of stake begins soon.
Yep. So the first milestone on the Lisk roadmap is they're calling it main chain stabilization. I would say that's a pretty important milestone. Obviously, you got to have a stable chain.
Yeah.
And then they're starting. I think this is their POS process. They're calling it forging, but I think it does just represent their proof of stake system.
Okay. And that do you have any idea of how much stake people will generate through that? Is it a percentage or base or something?
I believe that it's comparable to the amount that is generated through mining, which is comparable to what is generated on Ethereum.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure the specifics on that one, actually. But as far as the chain goes, they're kind of running into some interesting issues. It was a huge IPO, like $10 million or something. I'm not sure the exact total, but very, very large amount. My understanding is they don't yet even have access to those ICO funds because of the legal issues, the legal complications. And they are trying to incorporate a company that can administer that money, basically.
Ooh, that sounds messy.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were going to organize one in Germany, but the word is now that they've switched it up and are now trying to organize a company in Switzerland, I believe.
Huh.
So just kind of showing some of the legal hurdles that can go along with these huge IPOs. Obviously, there's been some concern from the community about them being able to pull all this together and pull it off. Understandable concern, but also I don't see any reason necessarily to panic here yet either. It seems like they are taking the steps that are necessary at this point to move the project forward. They do seem to be hitting their milestones for the most part so far.
And it seemed to have a little price bump recently. And, we kind of enjoyed speculating that might be related to the ARC ICO, which is collecting a ton of Lisk right now.
Yeah, it looks like they're just kind of... The price hasn't really changed much overall, so if that is the case, they're potentially just cycling out a lot of Lisk through that ICO, but...
Yeah.
We'll see how that all plays out. Of course, ARC definitely positioning itself as a weird, kind of a huge competitor and a huge companion to Lisk. all these big ICOs are kind of off in their own world right now, gunning for this space, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, and at this point, knowing which ones are going to even make it to the first day of their trading just seems really difficult for me.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, if you're somebody who's good at trading these ICOs early in their life and you can make money on it, then, my hat's off to you. But for me, I almost always prefer to just like let it hit the market and then make a decision from there.
For our second random coin today, we're going to be taking a look at BitBean.
BitBeans.
Our second random coin is always a slightly lower market cap coin.
Usually much lower market cap.
Yeah, they can go pretty low.
BitBeans, though, pretty hilarious pick in my opinion.
Yeah, I like this one. I definitely remember it as sort of one of the last Cryptopia coins for me.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I remember you mining it.
Yeah, I made a killing on BitBeans just by dumb luck.
We were like, wait, BitBeans is pumping?
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's like I had just gotten some SHA miners at this point, so I was watching for SHA coin launches. And sure enough, BitBeans came. And back then it was like the new coin markets were a lot more lucrative. And so there were a lot more pools out there. And the second a coin would launch, like within 30 seconds, one of the major pool OPs would show up and start compiling a pool. And so the game back then was to try to be the first one to hit that pool with hash once they got compiled. And I was able to do that with my SHA ASICs on BitBean and ended up getting a ridiculous amount, like 60 million in a few seconds.
I remember, it was a fairly new ASIC miner you had there, and BitBean, like, you broke even with that miner like almost immediately, just based on a silly coin like BitBean.
Yeah, I got instant mines on BitBean and Xcoin, and that paid for the miners, which was great. But, as far as the coin goes, it has some technical innovations as well. The first coin to implement the high POS proof of stake system.
Oh, really? It was the first one, huh?
If not the first, it was close. It's definitely the first one that I remember. For those who don't know. High POS is a proof of staking system where every stake block you get gives you a fixed amount of coins. So normally, like on a traditional proof of stake, you'll get a percentage of interest. So you stake 1,000 coins. If the interest rate is 10%, you'll get whatever the annual percent equivalent of 10% interest is on those 1,000 coins that you staked.
Yeah, there's also the proof of stake 2.0 where you can just get a percentage of the entire chain per block.
Yep, that too. Well, in high POS, you just get a fixed reward, period. I think on BitBeans it was like 1,000. I don't know if it's lower.
And sometimes we would even see high POS coins with ramping rewards.
Yeah. Or descending, or like all the crazy. High POS eventually, it added a whole new layer of scheming that developers could do with the rewards in terms of weighting them towards early miners or having high periods of rewards and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of coins to this day that use high POS. It forces people to be staking constantly.
Yeah, there was some since February when we started this program. We've had a few high POS ones. Nothing that's done well. It's hard for them to do well a lot of the times because somebody ends up with a bunch of coins. Because if you can imagine being the first person to stake, you're just going to be building that weight so quickly.
Well, the thing about high POS is that it's fundamentally flawed in that it incentivizes you to break up your coins into small inputs.
Yeah, you basically want more transactions.
So the way the math of proof of stake works is that on a traditional system, your stake weight affects your reward, and that causes it to not really matter what chunk, the size of the chunk of coins is that you stake. There's some tiny differences around the edges, but they're very small. For high POS system, you are very, very, very strongly incentivized to break up your coins into almost arbitrarily small inputs. And this causes really big problems for blockchain bloat and chain efficiency because the protocol wasn't designed to have a huge number of inputs per transaction. And it really gets to be cumbersome. It's a big problem.
And so I got to say, I'm surprised to see this trading on 5 different exchanges still.
Yeah, BitBean's doing great, man.
Yeah, on Bittrex, Blue Trade, Cryptopia, YoBit. Oh, sorry, that was it. It also had a Blue Trade Dodge market. That tricked me up. But what about activity?
There was a bit of the usual.
Just still some posting at least.
Yeah, exactly. The logo's pretty funny, but
anyone got a synced wallet? That type of stuff, or is
know.
it a little more positive than that?
No, it's better than that. There's definitely people messing around. I'm sure people are still staking in large numbers. Original dev is long gone, of course.
Yep, and it's definitely at the thin order book stage that coins rarely get out of. When you see a coin with less than a few Bitcoins worth of support, it's hard, I think, for it to start really moving along without a really heavy influence, obviously.
Once the liquidity dries up, there's just no way for people to interact effectively with the market. That includes market makers, that includes speculators. And so you get into a situation, especially with coins that have low Satoshi values, like, this coin is 5 and 6 Satoshi, so you're already at a point where a 1 Satoshi difference is a 20% spread. And so it just makes a market that's very hard to trade on. That drives down the liquidity. That makes the problem worse. And so you don't often see these coins coming back out from this kind of zone and pumping, but that doesn't mean it can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was as high as maybe 40 Satoshi this year at one point.
Yep.
So anyway, that's another little random coin, BitBean.
BitBeans.
That's going to do it for our random coin spotlight segment. Up next is the new posts.
New posts. We love to get into those new posts. We try to cover all of the new posts. And that's because you got to know what's coming out.
Yeah. All coins were new at some point.
It's true.
ZCashShare is the first proof of work coin we're going to talk about today. Just still those coattails must be getting heavy, I guess is what I want to say. Because here we go with more Z stuff, and they're basically just really riding on this name. As far as the coin goes, it's pretty normal. There is no pre-mine, which should stand out to me a little bit in what we've been seeing for a while.
It also looks like it's a real Zcash clone. It's using the Equihash algorithm, so it's not just like a script coin that they're calling Zcash or Zcash Share, I guess, in this case. But yeah, the idea here once again, we're going to have Zcash without the developer rewards. We're going to have Zcash without the pre-mine. But it's, I don't know. It's hard for me to know where to look in these Zcash clones right now.
Yeah, well, it's so funny to see so many that are just like kind of doing it directly.
Yep.
You wouldn't expect that just to be cloned so many times so fast, I feel like.
Yeah, next week we're going to do like our rolling review segment. And I'm going to throw all of these Zcash clones in there and just kind of get a side-by-side look at where they all are and what the deal is.
Let's see. It does have at least I was going to say it had a pool, but it doesn't. I don't see one.
Well, you can probably solo mine it.
Yeah. It looks like people are doing that. Wallet mining, only CPU, he says, but we know that people have Equihash GPU miners, so what they're really saying is he's not going to explain how to do that.
Yeah, that's a good observation. And the thing about those GPU miners is they were mostly designed to be directed at pools, so maybe until the pool comes up.
A lot of people can just set up their own NOP pools and then point their miners at that, I think.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's going to create a huge imbalance. You're right about that.
So we'll see how that one compares next week to the others.
That was Zcash Share.
Correct. The next proof of work coin is going to be InflationCoin.
InflationCoin.
Oh, well, what do you know? Here's a HIPOS.
Is it? Well,
yeah.
If you want inflation, HIPOS is a great way to ensure that.
Yeah, just like we were talking about.
Total coins here, 10 billion.
Okay.
Pre-mine 2.5%. Getting up there.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds almost reasonable these days.
The 2.5% sounds reasonable in a way compared to what we've been seeing, but the trick here is that they jack the supply up to 10 billion so that even at a low Satoshi value, that 2.5% pre-mine still becomes a healthy chunk of change.
Well, and also don't forget that, as like we said with the nature of Hypos, if they get this 2.5% straight out the gate, split that up into 1,000 inputs, they're going to basically be getting all of the Hypos blocks.
Right. They'll own the chain for sure. Yep. Good call. And so the thing about these is they just go on YoBit and dump usually.
So who knows? I wonder why YoBit doesn't have Litecoin markets. Did they used to?
No, they've never had anything but Satoshi markets.
Huh.
I think that's part of the way that they're able to keep such a ridiculous number of coins and just add all these different coins is because by only having the one base pair, they kind of reduce their overhead in that regard.
Let's see. This one does have a few pools, so people are having fun mining it. And I always feel like, I love that people release these coins, as I've mentioned many times. And I think some people must have really cheap electricity out there.
So yeah, I mean, talking about insta mining like I was earlier, you get, you're the first person who maybe gets a rental order on the first pool that comes up on a coin like this. You split your coins up, you take advantage of the stake. You sell pretty quick when it hits YoBit. You might get a good turnaround. It's hard for me to say. I haven't been able to actually try that trick in a while to see, like on these kind of coins that you'd expect to go down pretty quick.
It felt like
Does
that
it
type
work?
of market had dried up for a while there.
Yeah, exactly.
But we kind of have to always be aware that it could resurge. And
Yep.
keep our eyes open for those types of opportunities, possibly.
Yeah, definitely.
The next proof of work coin, that was InflationCoin.
Yep.
Up next is DiFicultyCoin. This is the coin with the impossibly high difficulty, I guess, is their thing.
Yeah, so this is kind of funny for just a clone coin that comes out. Usually you would see a coin come out that would be like a difficulty coin, and then it would just have normal specs and the name wouldn't mean anything. In this case, they're apparently serious about their impossibly high difficulty. It's like a difficulty of 1.1 billion, I think. And so...
so when will the next block be solved?
Well, if the thread is any indicator, it looks like never.
So kind of a funny experiment or art piece or whatever you want to say. One of the great things about blockchain technology is that due to its nature of open source, it really doesn't have to have much of a purpose to be created. Lots of people just fire them off.
Yep. That's
and
all
who
true.
knows what the intention is here. It would be almost impossible to trade because the difficulty is going to make the spacing between transactions unbearable.
It's got a market on Nova. That's pretty funny.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm incorrect. I haven't looked at the...
No, there's no cells, though.
Yeah. So maybe somebody will get a coin over there.
Yeah, the bid's only 3 Satoshi, so I don't think it's going to get him very far.
If somebody manages to get a coin over there, somebody will pay you 3 Satoshi for it.
Block reward of 25 coins, so that block is going to net you 75 Satoshi.
Wow. And at that difficulty, you might have to run it for a while. But that kind of makes it a fun gamble, maybe. It'd be fun to turn on your miner for 5 minutes, and see if you can hit a block, like a real random occurrence.
Well, here's the thing. It's got to have a retargeting algorithm, right? So if this chain is just sitting out here stalled, then the first person to crack that block it's gonna retarget way down.
Does it, though? I mean, it seems like it might have been programmed to not do that.
That's true. I don't know what's going to happen.
Because obviously the difficulty is not proportional to the amount of mining going on.
But if it did retarget down,
Yeah.
you could potentially catch a huge insta-mine that way. So maybe that's the game. I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody seems to be talking about the actual retargeting algorithm in the thread, and we didn't look into it, so that would be where we would go next if we had the time. But
looks like it's floundering for now.
For now, we probably won't ever hear about it again. That's difficulty coin. Up next is NetBit. That's a proof of work coin.
This is kind of a just for fun coin. That's what they're pitching it as. They still gave themselves a just for fun pre-mine of 3%.
Yep, lots of bounties. Not really trying to be next generational, just trying to look for some type of community to latch onto it, I would say.
Yeah, this is the template lately in a lot of ways. Just launch a coin with a pre-mine, toss it out there, and hope it sticks.
They got coinminers.info, which is a nice pool. That's always good to see. And, they don't have a block explorer yet. That's kind of a benchmark for me.
I agree.
They have bounties out for it. I always wonder. It seems like such a simple thing to take care of yourself.
Well, you got to pay is the thing, and the problem with having bounties out for that is like you pay the bounty, you get a block explorer for X amount of time. It just makes it clear that you have no long-term intention. Like you only want the block explorer for long enough
to maybe get to YoBit or whatever.
Exactly. Yep.
Which, nothing wrong with that. Once again, we haven't really been mining these types of coins for a while, so we don't know what the potential for them is. But it's interesting to see. I feel like this week I'm seeing a little bit more creativity with the sort of variables for these blockchains.
Yeah, I like this. A lot of shit coins again, of course, but they're more fun, I think, than some of the previous weeks.
Aside from that, not really a lot to say about NetBit. It is a longer proof of work than longer than shorter, I guess we would say. And those can sometimes be good for miners if you manage to get in there at the right difficulty, because people tend to lose interest.
The problem with this is that it's a long proof of work, but not quite long enough. The halving rate is 155,000 blocks. So every few months or whatever, there's going to be a halving. This means that after by the time it gets to block 3 million, the reward is going to be inconsequentially small. And so they're just setting themselves up for a hard fork or a swap at that point. Obviously, that's probably years into the future in this case, which is probably a lot longer than NetBit will ever be around, but something to keep in mind about it's not built for the long term.
So, yep. And as they said, just for fun. So maybe if you're looking for some fun, that's the one for you. They also posted it twice this week, so that was interesting.
They had different tickers on both, and I couldn't tell if that was the same coin or doppelganger.
I really felt like it was the same one.
Oh.
But I don't know. Weird
Whatever.
stuff happens on Bitcoin Talk.
It's true.
That's NetBit. The next proof of work coin, it was ZProject.
ZProject, all right. Got to keep those Zcash clones coming.
Yep. So here's another one. And they have a great little chart here, and somebody has a hilarious comment.
This graphic, dude. This graphic.
What the hell is the difference between check marks and circles?
Yeah, the graphic has a check mark for yes and a circle for no.
Except some of the circles are red and some of them are green.
Yeah, exactly. Circles are usually also a yes indicator, so that's kind of fun.
But there's no way that those red circles are yeses.
It's to mean that it has it, but it's bad.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe, no, that's to mean, red means no. Red means no.
Red
circle means no, but green means good, so it cannot have it, and that can be good. So on ZProject it says centralized, that's a green circle because it's not centralized.
Oh, I see.
And that's good.
Circle always means no, and check always means yes, and green always means good, and red always means bad.
Zcash has a red check on centralized, so that means it is centralized, and that's bad.
Okay, yeah, it's a great little chart they got. Yep. As you can probably imagine, ZProject has all green, which means it's all good.
Look at these futures, man. Decentralized, no founders reward, no pre-mine, unregulated. It is fair and equal, and it has a slow start.
And so what are they going to do differently than the other Zcash ones? I guess they've tried to tell us, although it's still not quite clear what really they're doing to be different in those ways.
So what's actually going down here, this is a fork of ZClassic, I think. They're probably both forks of Zcash, but this is cloning the idea of ZClassic, but they felt like while ZClassic didn't have the founders fund, they thought that the mining had an unfair start because it didn't have the ramping up rewards period. And so this is the clone of Zcash with no founders rewards, but it retains the ramping up mining period.
Okay, sure.
But there's also just one post here, and I can't tell if it's ever going to go anywhere.
I mean, they're all just kind of blurry to me, of course, but the only way I could see really one to stand out at this point is to just have an insane market maker going.
Yeah, and that's what Zcoin came out without the gate, so it's tough to get a good look at these other clones.
So very little posting going on that one. I don't know if it's just because people are like, no, I'm not looking at another Z clone, or if we'll see some posting in the future. But like Brandon mentioned, we'll take a big old look at the Z coins next week.
So that was ZProject.
The next proof of work coin is VaderCorp Coin.
All right, VaderCorp Coin.
This has a new cryptocurrency with strong development potential never seen before.
Unseen potential.
Yeah.
That potential has manifested itself in an 82% pre-mine.
Cool.
They advertise it as 10%, but they're using an accounting trick basically to... the pre-mine is 82% of the total of coins that will ever actually be mined.
Okay.
So, yep. This is more like what we're used to, unfortunately. Just a pointless high pre-mine script clone.
Yeah.
But the only one this week.
Right. Nobody seems too interested. Most people just want bounties and free coins.
No, it's making the rounds on the small exchanges. The bounty hunters are
Yeah, that's
out
true.
as usual.
They did make it onto Cryptopia, which means that they probably have some type of community that voted for them there.
Somebody looking to cash out. Who knows? But yeah, that's VaderCoin. VaderCorp Coin.
That's going to do it for the proof of work coins this week. Up next is a nice little slew of ICOs. That's initial coin offerings for people that don't know for some reason.
We had a good mix of new coins by category this week. The categories that we watch are proof of work / proof of stake, which is kind of like normal coins. ICO coins is another category. Airdrop coins is the third category. Those are coins that just get given away. And then we also cover relaunch and ReAnnouncements, like coin swaps and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So on the ICO side, we're going to have to mention YoPony.
This is hilarious, man. YoPony. If you're trading on YoBit, of course, you've probably seen the link now up at the top of the page.
They've been emailing you, maybe.
Have they been emailing about it?
Yeah, if you're on the newsletter, then you know they've been doing it the same way that like when they add a new coin that gets their sponsorship, they send out a message to say, "Oh, this coin's trading now."
Yep.
They send out a message to let you know that a new pony race is starting for a while there.
Yeah, I thought I'd be cool and like try out the pony thing and have a great story to tell on the show here. So I bought a pony for 0.01, a bet on a pony. And now I'm like, okay, that's cool. Next start, 17 minutes. I'm like, that's pretty soon, so they must do these races every hour. But I misread the time thing. The next start was 17 hours. Apparently there's only one race a day.
Right.
I think it's a little too slow. I don't know. Maybe that's just what it takes to get enough people to fill the pot or whatever, but...
I'm so confused about this ICO that they're running on the YoPony thing because you didn't have to buy any YoPony to play YoPony, did you?
No, they clearly take Bitcoin.
Are they trading a coin called YoPony right now? YOP? Do you see that?
You know, if I had to guess, I would say it's just a pointless token.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I don't see the token. Maybe this was just an advertisement for the YoPony thing.
Well, they definitely say that they are running an ICO, right?
I don't have the thread up, but
yeah,
but they probably
do.
That's funny.
So there's not really much going on there. Obviously, it's more just a funny post that happened than anything.
Yeah, well, I guess if I could wait 12 more hours, I could see what the outcome of my bet was. But
yeah, we'll let you know when Brendo wins it big on YoPony.
Yeah, when I inevitably become the first YoPony millionaire.
So that was YoPony.
YoPony.
The next ICO we're going to talk about is 1 Satoshi.
All right, this is pretty funny. They're going to print 150 million coins or something. Nope, 1.5 billion. And they're going to sell them for 1 Satoshi. And the idea for them is that they're saying it can't go any lower.
Terrible idea.
Nowhere to go but up. If you start at 1 Satoshi. Well, the thing is that, as we've all learned time and again, you can go much lower than 1 Satoshi.
Yeah.
Much, much lower.
Yeah, they mean like you can't go lower than that on YoBit because they only have a Satoshi market. But they, like we mentioned with DIEM, right, go if this manages to make it to 2 Satoshi, it's going to double its market cap, and from there it just gets tougher and tougher for the price to go up, of course. So
and the ICO aspect is pointless too. Obviously, why buy into it?
But same as the last ICO we just mentioned, there is zero information about the actual collecting of the money or anything. It's like these are very not together projects quite yet.
Yep, mostly some lazy posts.
So that was 1 Satoshi. Up next is Darcrus.
Darcrus. All right, so the previous two were really lazy. That is definitely not the case here with Darcrus, at least.
That's right. Once again, looking like a real clean post, kind of like, we mentioned Arc earlier, Lisk, those types of posts. And of course, they're doing pretty much the same type of DApp stuff. Decentralized applications apparently are still going to be a big push for this new type of blockchain stuff.
Yep, everybody wants to be the king of the DApps.
Everyone wants to find one that's going to stick and be like the one that is de facto for people. If somebody attracts an actual large amount of development, that would be very cool.
So one thing about this is it does have an actual long-term Bitcoin community guy, Sigwo here. I know I've seen him around. I'm not sure. I can't really, I can't vouch for his reputation, but it's not just like an anon dev. No mention if there's too much or not too much mention of the rest of the team or what that looks like just yet.
Right. But so as far as ICOs go, this one's not looking like the worst. And of course it has the reducing bonuses that people seem to be so fond of right now.
Yeah, if you trade ICOs, this is probably the kind of thing that you're looking for.
And there's plenty of information there on that post if you actually are interested. That's the same case with all of these, of course. We just are looking at Bitcoin Talk posts for a lot of this information at the first day.
It's true.
That is Darcrus.
Darcrus.
And so a shiny IPO, if nothing else.
Yep.
Janus is next.
So Janus, this kind of reminds me of Darcrus, and like it's a high effort thing, but it like in the terms where Darcrus, I kind of believed it. This one just I don't believe it.
What is up with this huge grid of payout percentages?
It's all very it's just too much.
Very very information overload style posting, which sometimes seems like a tactic,
Yeah, so the idea on this is they're saying that they're already running a series, not just one, but a group of successful businesses, and you are essentially just buying shares in these already successful businesses.
Oh, wow.
When you buy into Janus. So that that sets off a lot of red flags for me in terms of...
Well, certainly not legal.
Yeah, we saw Lisk running into issues with their... trying to get their funds distributed and stuff. What's going to be the case with Janus? Do they even care? Are they just trying to go around?
What kind of businesses?
That I did not see any
I
mention
don't see
of.
it either.
But like supposedly like brick and mortar type stuff. So I just have a hard time believing it.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem to have its own blockchain, right? It's piggybacking on it's just a token on which one? NXT or something?
I did not see that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit overwhelmed by this one. I can't quite wrap my head on it.
So yeah, who knows? Maybe it'll sell out $8 million in 5 seconds, like Golem did this week, and then we'll just be left scratching our heads.
That was Janus. The final ICO this week is Fund a Book. This one I had to put on the list, even though it was on the edge of not needing to be included.
Right on the edge, STRAT on the edge of what could even be considered a proposal.
Right, because this guy's actually really just looking for money so he can, I guess, pay for his life while he writes a book.
He wants to write a book about ICOs.
Which is kind of cool idea.
This is really just a GoFundMe, I guess.
You're right.
Because you don't get an IPO token, do you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
But it's okay, guys, because he wants Bob Surplus to PM him. Did you see that?
No.
The end of the post, at Bob Surplus, please PM me. I would love to have a word with you.
So he kind of wants to write an expose, let's say.
I think he wants Bob Surplus to pump his coin. I don't know.
Really think it's just a way to get in contact. I think
so.
what he'd like to see is to investigate the crypto scene from some sort of inside point of view. Really uncover things, some interesting stories probably. I'm sure the motivations are good, but
that'd be cool. But
at the end of the day, this is just somebody asking for money. Unfortunately, I think we'd all love to be given money. He does say that it's going to sit in an escrow account, which he won't have access to. Which then I'm like, well,
what's it for?
I don't know. It's for as he passes through the creative, as he reaches different benchmarks, he's allowed to get the money.
That's all a little.
225,000 words a month, basically 8,000 words a day. Once he hits that benchmark, $150 will be released to him. On days he doesn't hit it.
This sounds like a full-time job for the escrow.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's got to count the words.
I guess he'd get a percentage or something.
He's got to count the words. He's got to disperse the funds. It's a little overly complicated.
I like that it's just word-based too. Like that, it was. Come on, man. That was 1,000 words. Give me my money. I mean, they were gibberish, but
yeah, he wants us to pay by the word, but this whole post is like super short.
Anyway, it's not necessarily the worst idea, so it is included because who knows, maybe that really appeals to somebody.
Yeah, good luck, Crypto Roth, and
I hope you can make a really interesting book.
Yep.
Bring the story of Bob Surplus to the masses.
I want the story of Will Long, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. That does it for the ICOs this week. Just a handful. Next, we're going to jump into the new airdrop coins.
We noticed ZLiteQubit.
Alrighty, back on that Zcash bandwagon.
Jeez, that's a nice smashing of popular words.
Yeah, Zcash, Lite, Qubit.
They are using the Qubit algo.
Yep.
And besides that, I think, once again, this is kind of a name coin.
So there's been a trend in these airdrop coins. We see like one a month where they come out with, it's an airdrop that you can sign up for with a form, just kind of that they'll link to in the announcement. That'll typically, all the forms will get claimed in like 4 hours. And then they'll have kind of a high proof of stake. They'll show up on YoBit. They'll have like a decent volume for like a week, and then they kind of fall off the radar. Kronos coin is a coin that fit that pattern recently that came out. And that's the vibe I'm getting here on ZLiteQubit.
Yeah, and it is already being traded too, so it's interesting to know that it seems like they're still airdropping while trading it. It's weird.
No, the airdrop's done.
Oh, it is? It's over already?
Oh, yeah.
So
it just lasted a few hours, like I said.
Gotcha.
That's what you commonly see on these coins, and it's like...
So
I don't know. I did the Kronos airdrop, and it was worth my time, I guess. I think I ended up with like got the coins and staked them right away, and I think I got like a quarter Bitcoin for my airdrop on that one.
Yeah, and of course, airdrops in general have been a great source of just little bits of free money over the years. So it's not like airdrops are, if you're there at the right time and can do everything safely, then it's probably fun. But with this one, it looks like the opportunity's passed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, don't go in expecting it to be a long-term project. Don't go in expecting it to be fair. But if you claim an airdrop, you can claim an airdrop and stake it and
Miracle Coin,
get paid.
Up next is going to be Berber Coin.
This kind of straddles the line of being a coin too. It's like they're calling it Berber Coin. It's kind of a geographical themed coin for the Berber people of North Africa.
Okay.
But here's the thing, it's just a web wallet. So you sign up to get the airdrop through this web wallet, and there's no source code.
So not necessarily blockchain based?
Yeah, for all you know, it's just a web front end. Like you can't. And just tied to a normal database or something.
All right, so that's going to do it for those. Up next, we're going to look at a few other coins, from relaunches to reannouncements and pre-announcements as well.
Alrighty, first up on the list this week is Apostille.
This is an app that apparently works on top of that new economy movement blockchain. and it would be
Right.
used to notarize things.
Yep, they were saying blockchain-based notarization. They got some graphics here. They got what appears to be... looks like it's not working. It looks like these are just mock-ups.
Right. Great example of something that blockchain technology could be interesting for, I guess.
Yeah, definitely an interesting application for blockchain. They're going to have a hard time drawing legitimacy to the project. Like, you don't just say that you're notarized, you know. They would have a hard time breaking through the existing regulations around that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it might be cool. Maybe people could find a use for it independent of all that, like, you know, notarizing things within the blockchain space.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what the value of that would be and how that'll turn out, but I think it's a cool future for them to be pursuing.
And it's a little bit similar to proof of existence, which I think some other blockchains have done too.
Yep.
I'm not... how is this going to be distributed here?
I don't know that it's a new coin as much as a it's tied into NEM, I guess. I'm not sure what the way is though.
All right, so maybe we'll hear about that again if it takes off or something.
Yep. So yeah, cool idea. NEM up this week potentially on the news about Apostille.
Possibly. A reannouncement sort of takeover here for LetItRide.
Yeah, we've heard about them calling for a takeover in the past. A gambling theme coin
Yeah, we remember this one.
quickly abandoned.
Yep. It did well at its beginning, just
Yeah.
like one of those pump out the gate type of ones.
Yep.
But apparently has strong enough interest to generate this takeover post, and not a lot of interest from anyone outside of the few people here, it seems like. But I guess we'll be keeping an eye on it. It's already traded on YoBit, so I'm not sure what the takeover actually does at this point.
Yeah, as with so many other takeovers, what does it even mean to take over a blockchain, right? Like,
It looks like part of it is that they'd like to continue with the gambling idea of it. Like, they, part of that was they were gonna have a website where people could gamble with LetItRide.
no, but I mean, if that's not already in place, it's like it's hard to imagine the takeover crew pulling that off.
Right. And so for now, they've just got a dice page, which is pretty basic stuff that a lot of cryptocurrencies have.
But hey, good luck to them. I do hope that they're able to build a platform and get out of the doldrums.
Another reannouncement, I guess. This one's not a takeover, but just maybe somebody wanted to remind everyone about GPUCoin.
GPUCoin. Not the first GPUCoin, of course, that launched in 2014.
No, but this one seems to be doing a little bit better than that one.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. This launched 6 months ago. Just as a coin, really doesn't have any. Are they actually selling GPUs with this
Let's
thing?
see. UseGPUs.com, they say.
They got a forum here. They got a chat. Let's find out. I don't see it.
Yeah, it's if it is being used, it's all through a forum, so not the smoothest interface for a store.
You have
Got
to-
some sort of JavaScript with snow that follows your cursor going, so that's obnoxious. But anyway, aside from that type of detail, it's a really just basic coin. But it did expand, beyond YoBit, for example. It looks like it's on a few other exchanges, and they have a Slack. You can email this guy for an invitation. So that's nice that they are trying to take sort of the longer term community route, if nothing else.
The funny thing about YoBit, we give it a lot of trash. It's easy to trash on YoBit, but they are the ones that are carrying all these just random blockchains. And sometimes it's fun to trade on a coin just for the sake of it. And sometimes we're seeing, just with all the volume on YoBit, some of their markets actually tend, even though the coins that underlie them might be totally pointless, some of the markets are just fully liquid, legitimate markets just for whatever reasons, the market makers in there or whatever. And this is one of those coins like the YoBit market. The chart just kind of looks great. Not high volume, obviously. But it's just got kind of a steady looking chart. It looks like people have been buying and selling it for a while. And, when that happens, anything could happen.
Yeah. Well, one
Volume
funny,
is pretty low.
one funny thing that we've always laughed about ever since when we first got into altcoins, it's just kind of how even some of the crummiest altcoins, maybe not the crummiest, some of the most simple altcoins are still so much better to send around than Bitcoin. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it is. It is funny.
You know, as far as actually sending it, I mean, the liquidity's not there to ever transfer them to back into Bitcoin or whatever most of the time. But, you know, as far as actual technology is concerned, even Dogecoin was such a huge improvement I always felt over Bitcoin as far as sending it around, downloading the blockchain, different stuff.
Yep, it's true.
Anyway, a random sort of, it was posted, GPUCoin. And then over to Fermat.
Just another update from the Fermat crew.
Yeah, we had an interview with Fermat crew.
Luis Molina.
Yeah,
I believe. I think that was his name.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still chugging along. Fermat is kind of a new blockchain 2.0 type project that's kind of been out on the horizon for a while.
Yeah.
Really,
they sounded like they had put a lot of work into it. I definitely remember that.
Yeah, it sounds like they got a real team. Seems like they put a lot of work into it. And one of the things that we were excited about, of course, is that it's not an IPO.
Oh yeah, I remember we were stoked on that.
It's going to be just a long proof of work traditional blockchain, and so that's always great for miners and traders usually. And so we'll have a pre-mine, but it does seem like there's a real team here doing a lot of real work. So that can, as we've seen with Zcash, that can still produce an interesting market.
Yeah. So they're just looking for kind of people to get around their project, and they want to gather feedback and that type of stuff at this point.
Yeah, so head on down to fermat.org, check out the white paper, check out the website, and let them know what you think. They're kind of trying to let the community help make them better.
That is going to do it for the new posts this week.
Let's look back.
Looking back through it, of course, as far as the proof of work coins go, we saw a pretty nice variety of types of coins, but 2 Zcash clones in there.
Yep.
Then, of course, the Hypos coin.
Yeah, not a lot of standouts in the proof of work
Just for
section.
fun coin, and then one coin that was very much like the ones we've been seeing for a while.
But like Zcash Share, for instance, Equihash algorithm, no pre-mine, no ICO. It's, there's already a lot of Zcash clones out there. It's very hard to say if it's ever going to even trade, let alone have any value.
Yeah, but getting lucky on one of those would be pretty sweet at this point.
Yeah, exactly. You can mine it and not feel like an idiot, basically. And the fact that coins like that are out there is always encouraging for me.
So nothing really popping at me on that list. And then on the ICOs, the only one here that I even think we might ever hear about again is Darcrus.
Yep, and Darcrus is pretty generic for what it is, even though they did put the effort into it.
Nothing to mention on the airdrops really either. And then in the relaunches and the ReAnnouncements, these are all pretty interesting little services and blockchains. But besides, Fermat is the one that I'm most interested in there.
Yeah, I think if you look at any new coin this week, I guess I got to throw it to Fermat, even though it's still a long way out.
Yeah, it's really just kind of, just check it out if you're interested. But they're not asking for any money, which is I guess one of the reasons I like them.
Does that mean YoPony is the best ICO of the week?
I don't know. I can't tell if it's a real ICO or not because they don't have any information about that.
They're really blurring. They're blurring the boundaries these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for the new coins this week. Next, we're going to jump into the listings.
Yeah, over on Supernova, they listed ZClassic.
Pretty good sign for that chain.
Might remember that as being one of the many Z clones.
Yep.
Then as far as exchange listings go, over on Cryptopia, they listed Zoin.
They did.
And also VaderCorp Coin.
And there's VaderCorp Coin making an appearance. YoBit listed a nice smattering of coins here. ZLiteQubit. ZCashDarkCoin.
Okay.
LiviaCoin.
That one doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, not for me either. InflationCoin just launched this week. CBD Crystals launched like a month ago, I think.
And that's not its first exchange either.
No. And NetBit.
Okay.
So yeah, a couple Zcash clones, a couple coins we don't know much about, and a couple coins that launched this week.
And then over on C-Cex, ZClassic, making the rounds, I guess. Universal Booking Club.
Never heard of it.
And then they started another ICO called Wrapper.
Well, C-Cex ICOs, they have a reputation. Let's see if they can keep it up. It's not a good reputation, but.
Over on coinexchange.io,
okay,
we're looking at NetBit.
That's NetBit.
Cool. And then Double Eagle, I believe, is that other one.
The old bit spender pump coin there.
This was the second version of that, the swap over. That was one that, like, I remember mining with my one card and just totally forgetting about it. And then one day I was like, oh man, these coins are worth way more than I thought they were.
Yeah, that one traded at like half a Bitcoin per coin because it was an ultra low supply chain.
Dropped slowly.
So, yep, that's it for the listings this week. Pretty light week for listings. But our usual favorites are still adding coins, so that's always good to see.
It sure is. And that's going to pretty much wrap up this week.
Yep. Let's see. This has been show number 37. Of course, be sure to check us out next week, Saturday night at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. That's 9 o'clock Eastern for show number 38.
Yep. We are brought to you by Cryptopia.co.nz. Head over there. Check out everything they offer and say hi to us on the forums under altcoins. We'll hit you up with some dots just for saying hello.
Yeah, please stop by Cryptopia. Check out the mine shaft there. Check out their term deposits. They got so many features. It's just it's worth, signing up and just kind of taking a tour of the site just because there's so much to see.
BlockchainDynamics.net, Error by Trial Radio. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Currency. Stuck a couple Bitcoins. Money, Pull up on my Nakamoto.